Local support for News 6 has been provided by the Northwest Ohio Educational Technology Foundation, Bowling Green State University, and the members of WBGU-TV.
Hi! We're the 6th grade class of Fort Jennings Elementary, home of the Musketeers. Welcome to News 6!
Hi, I'm Tara Liebeck from Fort Jennings Elementary. Welcome to News 6. With today's first story, here's Rob Warnicki.
Some people think planes last forever. News 6 found out recently that a lot of hard work is needed to keep them flying.
Ronald Knippen has been interested in planes ever since he was a little boy. Now he owns his own 1957 Piper Tri-Pacer. Why have you always had an interest in planes?
I like to fly. I like being up in the air. I love the older aircrafts like this one. It's a challenge to fly, plus it's a challenge to work on.
Where did you get the plane?
I bought the plane down at an auction down at Harrod, Ohio. Came up for auction. There's a lot of aircraft buffs down there wanting to get it. But we ended up getting it down there. It had sat there approximately 25 years without being flown, so there wasn't too many people interested in it at the time.
What are you doing to restore the plane?
Well, in order to restore it, first of all, we had to take the wings off. Then we took the whole aluminum shell off. We wanted to see how much damage was done. There's been a lot of damage to the fuselage. Most of it is rusted up. It's made up of chrome moly tubing, which we'll be replacing. And then we're going to go ahead and overhaul the engine. So far, we put new coils in the engine. We have got it running, but we'll want to go in and put new rings on the pistons, things like that.
How long do you think it'll be before the plane actually flies?
It'll take approximately 2 years time we get everything changed over on it. Right now it will run. We can taxi it around, things like that, but next step will be is replacing the fuselage.
What have you enjoyed most by restoring the plane?
I've enjoyed the challenge of getting the engine to run. It's a dual engine. It has dual magnetos, 2 ignition systems, 2 carburation systems, and that's been a real challenge for me.
Today's News 6 is produced by the 6th grade class of Fort Jennings Elementary School in Fort Jennings, Ohio. Fort Jennings is located about 20 miles northwest of Lima. It was founded in 1881 and has a population of about 470.
Museums are great places to learn about the past. News 6 recently traveled through time at the Fort Jennings Library.
The Fort Jennings Library is home to a small part of our history. What kind of artifacts does the museum have?
A lot of the Indian stones, including arrowheads, axes, knives, and so forth. A cannonball weighs 47 pounds. There's also here a number of items for making candles. We have quite a few real old pipes, some of them that came from Germany even. There's a couple German helmets down here from World War I. There's a number of small tools here, like a small sickle.
Where did the artifacts come from?
Most of the museum here, items in the museum here, was found by, or given to the museum by a guy named Shelby Harris, who lived just north of town here a little ways.
What do you consider your most unusual artifact?
One thing that surprised me was a cannon about 1.5 feet high. This was said to be a signal cannon.
What pieces do you have that tell us the history of Colonel Jennings?
I think the most interesting one here is the painting by William Helmkamp, who was the architect for Memorial Hall. And it's a Fort Jennings as he pictured it from the stories told him by the early settlers.
What do you think is your oldest artifact?
The oldest artifacts here would have to be the Indian stones. I figure between the arrowheads, the hammers, the knives, and all that, we must have probably 60 different the stones in the cupboard.
How does Fort Jennings benefit from your collection?
Well, I think the big thing is it helps them in the study of local history. We have always made this room available to any of the classes from school that wanted to come up here and know something about it.
Food is an important part of a sixth grader's life, so Kids View this week talked with Fort Jennings sixth graders to see what kinds of food they love the most.
Hi, I'm Kevin Fisher from Fort Jennings, Ohio, and the kids' question today is, if you had to eat any food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
The food I would like to eat is steak because it's juicy and I love it.
The food I'd like to eat is pizza because it's my favorite food.
I'd eat tacos because they're good for you. You get your vegetables and meat out of it.
Old tractors no longer are going junkyard heaven. Craig Roadhouse spoke to a father and son team that are making sure the tractors get a second chance.
Most farmers own the modern tractors available to them today, but the Ostings of Fort Jennings preserve and collect the tractors of yesteryear. What kind of tractors do you have in your collection?
We've got international F-12s ranging from 1935 up to 1938. And we have two 36s.
Why did you start collecting tractors?
Well, in 1950, I bought that F-14 down at end with the cultivators, and I used it for farming for a while. Then I got retired, and I decided to have something to do, so I started working on him, and then I collected all the rest of them.
What do you do to restore your tractors?
Well, first I get them in the garage up there, and I tear them completely down. All I got standing there is the four wheels and the frame. I run it up under a hoist and lift the engine out of it. Then I take the frame over and get it sandblasted. Then we get it all back together, and then Ronnie paints it with a spray gun.
How are the old tractors different from the ones we use today?
Well, basically, I would say it's because of the horsepower. The F-12s are about 12.5 drawbar horsepower from the factory when they was new. Your newer tractors today, probably the smallest farm tractors, 40 horse on up to somewhere around 200 horsepower.
Where do you display your collection?
Right around 4th of July weekend, they have an antique farm and tractor show at Van Wert, Ohio, at the Van Wert Fairgrounds. Later on in August and September, we take them to Ottoville to the Park Festival. And we take them then the week after that up to Delphus to the Canal Day parade up there, and we run them in them parades.
Why do you enjoy collecting your tractors so much?
Well, it's a good pastime in the wintertime especially. I get them in the garage and tear them apart and fix them up. After retiring, something to do. That's about the extent of it.
That's all for this week's show. Join us next week when Immaculate Conception School in Salina visits News 6. Local support for News 6 has been provided by the Northwest Ohio Educational Technology Foundation, Bowling Green State University, and the members of WBGU-TV.